Oh, hi, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
You are Venezuelan?
I am indeed, sir.
Well, I need to hear what you have to say.
Well, it's very briefly. First of all, congratulations to your station for being so, I wouldn't say impartial, but at least you have had the diligent way to present different presenters of your programs across the day from both sides, not just like, and I say, like the BBC and major outlets, that the first thing they did, it was just going against Trump and against the whole thing of overthrowing such a horrible man that has been damaged the history of our countries and Latin America for the last 20 years, including Chavez. So well done, first of all, to you guys.
Well, that's very kind. LBC is all about opinion, of course, so all of my colleagues have different opinions. What's your view, though, Carlos?
Well, it's very simple. I mean, and all things that have been spoken, and I understand the geopolitical configurations, oil, pressure, the superpower America, whatever you want to call it. But there is one thing that no one has said. How about the suffering of 8 million people and their families and the knock-on effect caused by this man and Chavez across the Latin America in the last 2 decades? We had a massive party last night here. We've been basically like one of the best days of our lives for what just happened. Of course, I don't particularly say that Trump is an angel, but what he has done good this time to Latin America yet again. This is the reality. People got to look into that.
So you were partying in Baker Street last night?
Oh, well, I wasn't here. Well, I was where I live, but I was somewhere in London where it was.
You with fellow Venezuelans living in the UK?
Yeah, and Latin Americans and Colombians as well, because don't forget that this man has affected. We got at the moment almost 2 million people in Colombia. My family, part of my family, people in Colombia. It's unbelievable. So if people here in Britain knew, and particularly the BBC and the journalists knew what we've been through, they would not be just interviewing Democrats and people that will think anything that Trump does is wrong. Right. No matter what, if it's good. That's all I wanted to say, my friend. But we're very happy.
Can I ask when you were last in Venezuela?
Man, I was about 10 years for the death of my mother, but I lost a lot of people throughout this process. I'm going back now. This is the reality, and I'm a professional, man, working in medical science, and I'll be delighted as much as the many professionals here as well. There now we want to go back, and we don't belong to the elite class in Venezuela. We are the opposite, and that's what we celebrated after the strikes. People on the streets of Venezuela were not coming obviously out because of fears or striking and all that. But the places that have been strike, it's been the places of military base and all that. This man has done a beautiful job for our countries, not just our country.
And so, sorry, just to be clear, so you're a medical student? Are you a student? No, you're a medical professional working in the UK.
I'm a medical professional,
and you're now going to move back to Venezuela.
Absolutely, my God. And most of the professionals we were here last night that we've been well over 2 decades here, 3 decades, we will love that because I left in fact, as a matter of fact, from the days of Hugo Chavez in 1989, that's where it all started. But these men carry out that thing. And let's celebrate the transition. No transition will be easy, my friend, like it has been in any other country in the world, and you've seen it in political process. But what we know now, that man is out, and we'll have we're giving us a big chance because our country is a rich country, as you know, my friend.
Hi, good afternoon.
What would you like to say, Mariana?
Thank you for just wanted to say this is the first time I call, and it makes me really nervous.
Nice, welcome.
I just wanted to say that I am a Venezuelan living in the UK.
Fantastic.
I've been living here for 11 years. I'm citizen now as well.
Yes, good.
And it makes me a bit upset. I understand the point of view from someone who does not know the background of what's going on in my country.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, what perspective? What do you mean?
The perspective of, it's an intervention that it shouldn't happen, that Trump is crossing the line.
Right.
We basically have been waiting for this thing to happen.
Okay.
Chavez took power in 1998, changed the constitution in 1999. I'm a lawyer in my country.
Right.
And since then, the totalitarian regime started. So I am 43 years old. Basically, since I turned 18, I have had this regime in my country.
Okay.
So all my generation and 4 generations younger than me have had their futures affected because of this.
Okay.
So we have asked many times to the international community to support, to get rid of this. He is not a leader nor a president.
Okay, so Mariana, let me ask you a question though, just on this. Sorry, very interesting. Do you think on that basis that people in the Donbass region in Ukraine who identify themselves as in some way ethnically Russian or closely tied to Russia should then welcome Putin invading Ukraine to support them?
No.
Why?
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't speak on my own behalf because it's my country and I've lived there.
Okay.
Giving opinions for a country is a bit of draw the line there. However,
fair enough. Carry on.
However, I do not agree with Putin's actions on Ukraine.
Okay,
I've met lots of Ukrainians.
Yeah, just because if we go down the basis of you're welcoming the intervention from the US, which is interesting, and you're saying that you and other Venezuelans are welcoming, that's all fine.
Yep.
Lots of people might welcome lots of things, but there is a thing called, supposedly, some people fretting about in this country called international law, which means you can't just go willy-nilly topple over dictators in states you might not like.
I see where you're coming from, and that's one of my, when I put devil's advocate point of view. Yeah. And I was wondering, talking to my parents, as I was saying, how are they going to turn this into the legality of it?
Yeah.
However, when we go back to it, Zelensky is the rightful president of the UK, of the Ukraine.
Carry on.
Maduro is not a rightful president.
Carry on with your feeling, Mariana, about the sense of people on the ground there that you've spoken to. How are they feeling at the moment?
We are celebrating. Mm-hmm. It's a celebration. We had a New Year's wish. Given, granted.
So
that's how it happened.
Okay, so the New Year's wish has been granted. Mariana, tell me this: two things. One, what happens next in Venezuela now? Because Trump's saying he's effectively running it. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to send Pete Hegseth or Marco Rubio down there. I don't know. Maybe they'll have an office in Caracas. I don't know. But I doubt it. I mean, he probably wants Delcy Rodriguez to be a pliant puppet. He's certainly not supporting the Nobel Prize winner at the moment. What happens next in Venezuela, number one? And number two, what message does it give out to people who are sitting in Greenland or Mexico or Colombia or anywhere else in Latin America?
The difference with the rest of the countries in Latin America is that they have a rightful president. Not us. We had a narco dealer, illegitimate, illegal president.
But couldn't Donald Trump have made exactly that argument against President Biden, who is an illegitimate president? In fact, he did make that argument. So on that basis, should we have welcomed a foreign state toppling Joe Biden?
I do not condemn welcome foreign invasion lightly. Okay. Again, as I said, I can speak on my behalf because I'm Venezuelan.
I get it.
However, I wouldn't agree with him then going, okay.
So, Mariana, this is important because you're giving us an insight. What would you like to happen next in Venezuela?
I would like Edmundo González and Maria Corina Machado go back to the country and run it. I am debating myself. I don't know how the people think if we should have elections again. However, not run by the CNE, which is the National Election Department in my country, because it's all corrupted. Yep. All the administrative powers are corrupted completely. And I believe all the shows were showing that yesterday in the UK.
So on that basis, then, what do you make of Donald Trump? I mean, he does change his mind from time to time, so this might only last 12 hours. I don't know. But he said yesterday that Maria Corina Machado, he had not been in touch with her, claiming she does not have the support in the country. She
does.
Well, that's what he's saying. So your benign dictator who's come in, supposedly who you welcome, is basically just cut you loose by not supporting the person who you want to take over your country. Where does that leave you, Mariana?
Well, no, Maria Corina Machado has to go back in. They cannot just put someone else. There's no other leadership in the country.
Okay, but then what happens if you're welcoming the deposition of Nicolás Maduro, and then Trump sells you out and doesn't support Mariana Corina Machado? Where does that leave you then?
Back to square one.
With Delcy Rodriguez? Would you sleep easy with Delcy Rodriguez?
No.
Why not?
No. She doesn't have the backup of a country anyway. That will be, I think that will become anarchy.
Well, let's hope, Mariana, that President Trump's people are listening to this conversation.
I just want. This is what we see. I don't know what the truth is because it seems so.
Okay.
How do I say it? Sorry. Maria Corina Machado just won the Nobel Prize for trying to seek peace in my country. That's how she managed to get out of the country because she was in hiding safely. A few months later, Maduro is gone completely easily. That could have happened 5 years ago. Not that many news.
Okay.
So it's just like the coincidence are way too big, too obvious.
Okay, and just before I let you go, Mariana, just give us a sense of the Chavismo and the other people around, because there are militias, there are guns all over the place, as we understand it. There are different groups. I mean, how do you see this playing out?
I just hope that many people had left already, many of these bad Chavez supporters.
Okay.
There is no leader now.
Okay.
What is important to notice is Maduro was appointed by Chavez before he died.
Yes, he was.
Maduro didn't have someone to follow them.
Okay.
To replace him.
Okay.
So, yes.
Well, we'll see we'll see how it develops with great interest. Mariana, thank you very much indeed for picking up the call. I'm very grateful to get your perspective because you have skin in the game.
Hello, mate. If I may very briefly explain my background, because it is pertinent. I grew up near that part of the world. I grew up on an island, or half of one of the islands, called Haiti.
Yep.
And we lived under a dictator who was president for life. He just declared it, his father declared it one life, and it got passed on to the son. Funny that. What I would say is, having had the privilege of living under a dictator, and that might sound strange, but it means that I recognise warning signs, which is why I'm so concerned about the UK. But I recognise warning signs when they're coming, and I know what pain it causes to the people. And I watch around the world today as Venezuelans all over the world are dancing in the streets, all over the world. And I look at the so-called international law situation that Western pundits are all pushing, the people who don't like Trump, really, let's be honest. Yeah. And it's the same international law that saw Venezuelans' standard of living, we saw their GDP contract 70% in 10 years. It's the same international law that allowed the man to just ignore an election. It's the same international law that allows him to take basically lots of money from the Chinese to sell his oil to them. It's the same international law that allows extrajudicial murder, torture, rape, citizens disappearing. It's the same international law that's allowed a country that was once rich to only have teaching for 2 days a week. So whilst the Venezuelan people are up, you know what they're doing in Venezuela? They're doing the Trump dance, the YMCA dance. And then I listen to Western leaders quoting international law at me. I think, you people, you're gone. They're actually gone. They don't know they're gone yet. The world doesn't care about that anymore. Now, to your point, is it imperialism? Yes, it is, but it's not imperialism in the way that it's been done before. Because what did he do, Trump? He went in and he captured the man, and he'd already put him in front of a court. Now, let's be honest, we have Trump derangement syndrome across the Western countries. The Asians love him. The Middle East love him. Many South American countries like him. A lot of people in America like him. But in the Western Hemisphere, in Europe particularly, we hate him because our media has programmed everyone to hate him. And here's the thing. Why it's different this time is because he didn't kill the bloke, just blow him up, and then have a ground, CIA people on the ground. Well, they probably are on the ground, but they didn't do a colour revolution. He's taken him, he's put him in a law court, and he's announced there'll be a transition period. Now, isn't it funny? When they killed Soleimani, Jeremy Corbyn, who represents a lot of the nuttiness in Europe, let's be honest, he does, he said, it's a shame we killed Soleimani. 1/3 of the Middle East was dancing the next day, right? Because that man was a genuine monster, right? What did he say, Corbyn? We should have killed him. We should have put him in front of a court. Trump goes to put the guy in front of a court, and we're still attacking him. The truth is, right, that if Trump goes ahead and takes the guy to court, he ends up in prison for narco-terrorism and all the rest of it. Be interesting to see what deals he's been doing with China. That'll be very interesting to read about.
Well, we know what deals he's been doing with China. I mean, China gave $60 billion, as we understand it, in loans to them for oil, which continued for many, many years. I'm not sure what the extent of that relationship now is, because China was also getting a bit fed up with all the corruption and everything else. But China gave loans for oil, and Russia's got a relationship with Venezuela as well.
Yeah, and has he been funding NGOs in America? that are basically working against the government and the president. Look, there's a lot of, when you've got that kind of money sloshing around and you've got people who are, against the country, against America, there's obviously lots of backroom deals that are going to come out of this. But what I would say to you is, it's imperialism, but it's not in the same way, because, if he puts in place the transition period and they have another election, or, how about they just put in the person who actually won it, right?
Yeah, but he said that she's totally incredible and doesn't have the support within the country. Maria Corina Machado.
Yeah, and then what was it? Who was it? Eduardo Gonzalez? I think he actually won the election.
Yeah, Eduardo Gonzalez was from her party.
But so why don't we have another election?
Yeah, but he wants the current person who's been appointed deputy president to be the puppet to do it. I mean, she's sort of fighting back, Delcy Rodriguez, as I understand it. But we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. But Robert, but Robert, how can one defend in any way an extraterritorial adventure like this, despite it being in America's interest? And my position. My position is none of this is new. This is not an aberration from the norm. It is very much the norm. It's just that Trump does it very openly and in your face. It's nothing new at all. And it's no surprise. Exactly. And it's no surprise to me. I mean, it's no different to what happened to Noriega under H.W. Bush. It's exactly the same kind of thing. Where does this leave the world in terms of imperialism now being seen to be a free-for-all? I mean, it always has, in my view, but just totally in your face.
Look, my answer to that would be, and you said it earlier, it's always been the case that this happened. It's just that before they hid behind the United Nations and international law. But at the end of the day, the world, for many billions of people around the world, they live in abject poverty, and they do it under the auspices of the UN and all these NGOs and government organisations. The truth is that in the end, it's down to this, Ali, and this is more important than multilateral frameworks and lawyers making lots of money. It's about being decent to people. If Trump puts the oil industry to work to make Venezuelans rich again and have schooling and have education, universities, and get them working on their own oil rigs, right? Because what Trump wants, and I believe this, he believes that capitalism is the route to freedom.
But Robert, fine, it might be the route to freedom. All I would say is that I'm not sure it's driven by a benign worldview to try and make the lives of the Venezuelans better than they were. I mean, if that happens as a product. That happens as a product. I need to move on, Robert. But if that happens as a product, fine. But that is not the main motivator. The main motivator is to get Russia and China out of his backyard sphere of influence, to focus on oil. And if there's a happy coincidence that it might lead to a better government for the Venezuelans, so be it. But that's not the main motivator. Robert, thank you.